So let's import more information to Open BIM Quantities. Let's keep importing information. In this case, let's import DWG, DXF, PNG, and PDF files. Why? Because we would like to combine the information that was imported or created here with the information that would be imported here to then have the Bill of Quantities. Okay, so we are combining two types of information. Let's come back here to Open BIM Quantities. So we were working before here in this area, or actually here in this area. Now we'll use this area here. Okay, here is going to be the 3D view, or here we will see the files that we import in a while. So to start importing, we will use actually this option here. Here we have three options that we'll be using a lot. They are related to these files that are imported. The first one is going to be this one. This one, it's a tool where we create a library of files. So here we import and classify these files, and here we'll have a library of imported files. Okay. So let's add a new file. Let's go to the same folder that we have been looking before. In this folder, I have some examples in DWG, some examples in JPG, and one example in PDF. Okay. Here we can select the type of files that we want to import. So DXF, DWG, DWF, images, PDF. Okay. So you can filter here. Let's start importing, for example, the example in DWG. Okay. So let's import. The software is reading the file. So here I have some information. I know the name of the file. I know the creation date and the size. One important thing is that I don't need to have a CAD software in my computer to use this information inside of Open BIM Quantities. So if you don't have AutoCAD or any other CAD software, don't worry. You don't need you don't need the software to read the information. Okay, read these files. Because here, as you can see, we have a kind of viewer where you can manage the layers that you are importing. You can also zoom out or zoom in. Okay, you can because now, as you see, we must define the scales and adjust some parameters here. Okay, here are some buttons. For example, I can use it to zoom twice, or I can zoom full window like this, or I can create like a highlight zoom like this, for example. Okay, or I can just use the mouse and using the pen or even the scroll of your mouse, you can navigate in your file. Okay, in this file I have some plans. For example, here I have the ground floor plan, I have a typical floor plan, I have a furniture floor plan, and I also have here the roof plan. Okay, and then I also have here some sections and elevations here, some facades here in the bottom of the file. Okay, I have it here. So all this information could be very useful to then extract the quantities. Maybe depending on the file that you have, the file could be very could be very heavy with a lot of information. So could be useful to uncheck some of the layers. For example, the hatches, or maybe in this case, for example, the trees does not matter to me, the cars, or even, for example, the furniture. Let's deactivate the furniture. Let's look for some shades. Okay. You can select the layers that are really important to you to have a lighter workflow. So here you can do that. As I said before, you don't have to have AutoCAD in your computer to do that, because here you have these options to manage the layers. So the software imports and recognizes the layers of your DWG or DXF file. Okay. So I have here one file. For example, let's imagine that with this file, I will create a one that's going to be used to the typical floor plan. That I'll call it complete. Okay, complete because I have all the information together here. Okay, but then I can, for example, duplicate this file. Actually, I'm using the same file, but I'm creating a different template that could be, for example, just the columns, okay? Just the columns, because I know that there is one specific layer just to the columns. Maybe in the future it's going to be useful to have the template with just the columns to count the number of columns or to do something. So you can combine it. You can create these combinations here according to using the same file. You can have different scenarios, let's say. Okay, it was just an example here. Let's come back to this guy here. But there is one point that I think it's important. That is the scale. Okay, we'll measure this file, so we must sure that the scale is correct. Okay, and I can open this this option here. And the first thing that I can see here when I open is that when this file was created in AutoCAD, it was the origin of the project is here. Okay, a little bit far from the drawings. So the first thing that I can do is, for example, use this option here and select a new orange. Could be, for example, like this, or could be near to the drawing that I will be using. For example, I will be using the typical floor plan, like here, for example. Okay, so I will change the origin of the the project. Okay, if I accept, now it's going to be updated. Okay, here the same situation could be the scale. I don't know the scale of the project. Okay, so one thing that I can do is zoom in, for example. Let's go there. And I can apply, for example, a scale. There are different scale adjustment. There are two ways to do that. The first one, it's add a number here, add a value for the scale in the X direction, in the Y direction. Okay, if we know the value, exactly the value, we can add it manually, or we can use this option here, that is the adjust to scale option. Okay, so if I know one specific part of the project, I know the distance. For example, I know that these walls have 20 centimeters of thickness. So I can click here and tell to the software that this is 0.2 meters, okay? And then the software automatically calculates the scale, okay? So if I know one distance in the project, sometimes we have all the sometimes we have the information in the project. We have the numbers here in the project. You can just select 2 points that you know the distance and apply using this option here. Okay, and then we know that's the software is in the real scale, the correct scale. If now I duplicate as we made before, everything that was adjusted before in the first file will be adjusted in the second. So maybe a good practice could be start adjusting the scale and adjusting the origin of the first file, and then duplicate it and change the layers, for example, because then you have the you know that everything is in the correct scale. Okay, so this is columns, this is going to be complete, for example. Okay, yeah, let's keep importing more files. Let's import, for example, now some pictures. Okay, so let's add one more file. So let's import here the images, for example, the image 1. Let's accept. Here in the images, actually, we don't have layers. It's quite similar, but we don't have layers because it's just a JPG. But of course, you can also change the origin. In this case, it's good, but we don't know the scale. So yeah, let's go here. I know that, for example, the distance from this point to this point, it's 5.9 meters. So the scale, in this case, it's something totally different from the first one because it's just a picture. So let's accept, but now we know that they are in the same scale. Let's add one more picture that I have here. So I have this JPG 2. This is a quite nice example because it's totally different from the first one. This is a picture that I got from the Google Maps from Midrand in Johannesburg. Okay, let's imagine that this plot, this area here, will be the place where we will construct, and we would like to add a fence, or would like to clean the terrain before we construct. So maybe we can then use this information to get some quantities from here. Okay, there's something nice in Google Maps that we can see the scale always here in this corner. So this is a good reference to put this image on the scale. So let's do that. So I will just go there. Let's go there, 10 meters. Let's use the option here to change the scale. So I know that from here to here, it's around 10 meters. So the scale is another here, totally different from the others, okay? Let's accept. And then we can also use this image as reference to extract our quantities. And the last example I would like to import here, just to show you the options that we have in the software, it's a PDF file. It's actually the same situation. Select PDF. Here I have a PDF. The software will analyze the PDF. Let's accept. And the PDF can be also, looking at the origin here, it's a little bit strange. We could adjust that. But here, the same situation. I don't know the scale. Let's just adjust the scale. For example, I use as reference here a door like this one, okay? A door that could be 80 centimeters, for example, okay? Probably this scale was 100, okay? Because I got the door without too much precision. As you can see here, my PDF don't have a good resolution, but it depends on the PDF that you import. If you have a PDF with a better resolution, it's going to be better. But if you have a PDF that is not so good, no problem, you can also import it. The point is how to define the scale. So in this case, I will adjust. I think it's going to be 100. Okay, so I will use 100 here. And now we have here some different files. I will just add some names. For example, the first example in JPG, I'll call it example JPG floor plan, for example. I'll call that like that. The second example is going to be example JPG Google Maps. Okay. And the last one is going to be example PDF that are called also floor plan, but in this case it's PDF. Okay, just to have some different names, because then you see where these names will be important. Okay, so let's accept. And now we have the information that we need. Okay.